Everybody, welcome to the CableTime podcast, episode 5. Today I have my sister Kim and John joining us once again. They're back in here. We thought you loved them so much, we brought them back. I loved them so much, I brought them back. I don't care about you.
You just can't get rid of us, I guess.
No, I kind of live in the same place as you, so
Yes, you do.
it's okay. How's everybody doing on this fine Wednesday evening? It is 11 o'clock at night, and it is hotter than Satan's butthole in this house when we turn the AC on, so if you hear some extra noise in the background, it's just the air conditioner behind my room running very loudly in the paper-thin walls of this house that I live in. But anyways, it's better than sweating myself and having to change my underwear after this, so... Welcome, everybody, to the CableTime podcast, episode 5. Alrighty. So, it's October, and it's almost Halloween, and, I don't know, we're just feeling a little... getting in the spirit of Halloween here, and the other day we went to a pumpkin patch, and I'd call it a sorry excuse for a pumpkin patch here in Los Angeles, but... I accomplished something for fall this year. We all went. It was pretty fun. Did you like it? Whatever.
I enjoyed the experience.
I thought it was cool being with the kids.
I was gonna say, I think what really brought it was just the fact that both the kids were super ecstatic.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they knew the difference.
Yeah,
They
really
didn't know what the difference between a Washington pumpkin patch is and a California pumpkin patch.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't have cared anyways about the pumpkins so much.
No,
They did care more about
the
rides and stuff.
Yeah, it was cool. They had the. I guess it probably would have been something like more with a lawnmower motor in it in Washington. But
Do you remember riding on those when you were a kid? Those
no, I never got to
things?
do those things.
Oh,
We
you
were never
did?
allowed to.
We never got to do anything.
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah,
You
my
were
memory
riding
doesn't go that far back for me.
You ever do the tractor thing where they have like 50-gallon barrels they attach like, wheelbarrow wheels to, and they hook them up in like a long train and pull you around a tractor?
Nope.
No.
Really? You've done
No.
that?
I think.
Wait, what?
Well, they take like 50-gallon barrels and
I
they
got
cut a
country
hole inside
bumpkin
of it
over
on the
here.
side. They hook them up in
Yes.
like they're mini trailers to each other, and they tow a whole bunch of kids around. You ever done that?
You are.
No, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I wasn't even allowed to go trick-or-treating as a kid because of my Christian background.
Right?
So
I mean, I think the coolest thing I ever did is...
I've also started talking like people from Washington, and I don't like it. I say so. It's not okay.
So-
It's
Wait, do we
scaring
say
me.
that?
It's really
It's a
scaring me.
Canadian
Yeah,
thing.
nobody notices, but I notice every time I say it, and it's a natural instinct. It's not like I do it on purpose. It's so. I say so.
I
don't like it.
Say soul.
I say so.
Uh,
Garbage.
I think the coolest thing, right thing.
Bag.
Bag.
I gotta throw my
Bag.
weird. Yeah.
A bag away.
Yeah. My bag. My bags. Oh, my bags. We're getting off topic
Oh my
here.
God.
Actually, we haven't even gotten to discuss the topic. It is not actually a lighthearted one, but it doesn't mean that we can't all be together and have a good conversation together. Why don't you talk to us about what we're talking about today, Kim?
So I just wanted to come on here and talk about, just some serious issues, some things that I've been through in my life, and I know I haven't always had the, worst life, but I also have not had the best life due to poor choices I've made. Growing up, I've had a I won't say perfect family, but an amazing family. I had parents that were together. I had, 2 big brothers who were always there to protect me. Growing up, Sam was always a bookworm, Zach was always more of the musician, and I was more of an athlete. I played a lot of sports growing up, from basketball to, t-ball, and one of the only ones that I really stuck with was soccer. I played soccer probably from 4 years old till I was 10, and then I broke my ankle because I got hit by a car. I remember my mom was really scared of like letting me go back into playing soccer because she was afraid of me re-injuring my ankle. And finally at 15 years old, I was like, no, I really need to get into sports. Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm homeschooled. Like, I need to get out of this house. I need to do things. I need, interaction with other people outside of the homeschool. So, played for a city league. It was a city league that I played for when I was a little girl. So, it was something that I knew I was going to go into, and I probably was going to know people, and I probably wasn't, going to know a lot of people, or people were just not going to know who I was. So at 15 years old, I played, became close friends with, I actually went in with my best friend, Jessica, and then, played for a season, had the worst coach in the world. She did nothing but yell at us. She made my first year back to soccer miserable. Whenever one of the girls would get in trouble, you remember this, she would torture them. Not torture them, but I mean, I remember one time a girl got in trouble and her parents told the coach. And I remember the whole practice, all this girl did was run around because we practiced at a baseball diamond. She ran around the baseball field with a ball above her head. She was not allowed to do anything else. She was only allowed to stop and get water, and that was it.
What is this, some Gestapo-like soccer coaching? Like, what the heck is that?
Some people take things too
Yeah,
seriously.
some people take, you take a little too, this isn't the Olympics. You need to chill out.
I don't remember. It might have been her sister, but I can't say 100% for sure if it was her sister. But I do remember that she was in trouble, and she had to run around the whole time with a soccer ball above her head. I was like, I can barely hold a soccer ball above my head for 5 seconds. I couldn't imagine a whole, hour and a half practice holding a soccer ball above my head the whole time.
No, that's like... That's why I stopped doing sports. I got tired of being told what to do by adults. That's honestly one of the biggest reasons why
Take it way too seriously if you're late
stopped.
due to your parents driving you and being late, and it's not your fault, but your coach punishes you. I don't know.
Then you have to be the one who's running laps.
Oh no, it wasn't because her parents made her late. She had to run around because she had snuck out of the house, and her parents went and told the coach, and the coach decided that she was going to punish her. It wasn't even about it. Like, literally had nothing to do with soccer. It literally had to do with something like she snuck out of the house and went to a party or something like
Who
that.
does something like that? That's rude.
Yeah.
It was like, wow.
It was mortifying. It really at one point made me be like, why am I doing this? What if I get in trouble? Like, I don't want to get not that my mom would go to the soccer coach and be like, hey, like, Kim did this, but it was more of like, I was afraid of messing up because I was like, I saw the torture she put some of the girls through, and I was like, I really don't want to go through this.
That's crazy.
Well, as a kid, you should have like a separation between your home and your extracurriculars, because sometimes there's home life that's not so great and you need a separation from that. So, and that was probably really traumatizing for that girl, because that was
I mean, she was in public school, so I don't know if it was really traumatizing.
I would have been, because it's something that...
I mean, honestly, in reality, we talk about, like... I'm going to retract my statement on that. I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to say that it's not Orwellian. I'm going to say that it's not... I would say that it has the possibility. It sounds like a sibling abuse hierarchy thing that is being executed outside the home. So that's the first thing about that dynamic. Secondly, maybe we're being a little too soft about kids having to run laps. That's what I think. That's what I think. I don't know.
I remember, anytime we lost a game, we'd have to run a lap or 2 laps around the whole
Gotta get better. You know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
But
the
like,
thing.
I never saw that as a punishment.
There's a difference
I saw that
between
as, like,
demoralization
Yeah.
and character building, because sometimes demolition has to be done to people for character building. You have to get rid of faulty foundations in people so you can raise yourself up into something that's completely indestructible. Some of us have different foundations. You know, we as Christians, that foundation is Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, he says he's the cornerstone. So for character building, it takes, you know, some type of destruction, but it's always somebody builds it back up. If somebody's not building you back up doing it, though, especially in sports, it's just demoralization. They're just making you their B word, you know?
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah. So, you know, getting back to it. So, I played 15, 16. I only played for another year.
Yeah, Kim played
2 years.
sports
I
way
played
longer
2
than I
years.
did.
I played 15, 16 years old. I had gotten in trouble. I started doing things, obviously, you know. I was being rebellious, as every teenager does.
Because you were growing up.
Yeah, as every teenager does. And I think, looking back on it, I think a big part of it, and obviously I'm never gonna, like, I love my mother, but, you know, she was sick, and, you know,
It was a hard time around that time frame.
she could not take care of me maybe the way I wanted her to because she was sick, and maybe in a way I was rebelling because all I wanted was my mom. And, I mean, my mom's made up for it 10 times over now, you know. My mom's so loving, and yes, we still obviously butt heads, but, you know, I love her no matter what. She's still my mother. I wouldn't want any other one. I would never trade her for the world. So getting in trouble, I started talking to a guy, you know. I was 15, so he was 19. Yeah, he was 19 years old, and I was 15. I started talking to him.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, and
Well, I guess, like,
I look back on it, and I thought, you know, at the time, you know, as a 15-year-old, well, I knew him when I was a little kid, you know, so I thought, oh, it doesn't matter, like, I know who he is, you know, even if I was out of soccer from 10 years old to 15, I felt I knew who he was, and so I started talking to him.
That's too... I guess, like, it's only 4 years, and like, if you were an adult, and I was 20 and I was dating a 24-year-old, like, nobody thinks that's weird, per se. The difference, though, is that you have to think of Kim's kind of mentality, because she was homeschooled, and I think homeschooled kids have this different threshold of, like, it depends on the kid. I went over it before, and I'll say it again. Not every kid in the church is perfect. Not every kid in the homeschool that we went to is perfect. But the mentality, I would believe, that it comes from somebody in the homeschool is definitely not on the knowing more about things and knowing more about people who are older doing things like that to you. Like, if I was 15 years old and a 19-year-old girl was showing me attention, I can't say that I wouldn't be, you know, at that age, I wouldn't have been happy about it.
Right.
Anyways.
You know, I had gotten in trouble even before that with another guy, and I had to step back. But then, you know, again, I was 15 years old. I was naive. I didn't, you know, oh my gosh, a guy's giving me attention. Oh my gosh, a guy likes me. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do anything to keep his attention, because at least at that point I'm getting attention. And I remember talking to him, and I remember texting him, and, you know, looking back at some of those text messages, and I was like, why was a 19-year-old allowed to talk to you? Why did you allow a 19-year-old to talk to you the way he was talking to you? Why were you allowing him to text you comments about... Okay, so one of the bigger things at 15 years old was I don't remember we didn't win a championship, but to celebrate, like, the end of the soccer season, As little kids, we used to go to Chuck E. Cheese. Some weird reason.
Yeah.
15 and 16-year-olds all wanted to go to Chuck E. Cheese. I remember text messages from him saying, if only we can have a moment alone in Chuck E. Cheese. I will take it anywhere. Even if I have to drag you under a table.
Whoa.
And
At Chuck E.
15.
Cheese. Hey, let's hang out at Chuck E. Cheese out by the animatronics.
You know the old Chuck E. Cheese costume is big enough you could probably fit 2 people in that thing.
Oh my gosh, that's
dude.
horrible.
That's
So, I think the only real thing that I can say that I probably, I sat next to him on, those, virtual, roller coaster things that they have. I sat next to him on one of those. And I remember him trying to, kind of pull me and try to put me, closer to him. Not, on top of him, but, closer to him because there's a good enough gap between the 2 chairs. He was trying to, kind of put me between the chair and then him. And I remember leaving, and I remember him with, hey, I wish that I would have just, been able to kiss you or, been able to do something because he liked me. So, fast forward a couple of months. I don't even think it was a couple of months. Fast forward, I actually went to we went to a train ride with the homeschool. And I remember I was with Dad. And I remember that I separated myself. I don't know if you were there. I had separated myself from Dad and Sam, and I was with somebody else. I don't even remember who I was with. I just remember that I had went off on a different group. And I remember Dad was like, no, you need to come hang out with us now. I came on this trip. You're going to hang out with me. And I was really angry. So, the whole time, I remember the whole time I was with my dad. And, I feel bad now. But, again, I was a teenager. I was being rebellious. I remember the whole time, I didn't want to spend any time with him. So I, was on my phone the whole time texting this guy, ignoring my dad. And I think part of me wanted my phone to be taken away from me, but then part of me didn't. But I remember I got in so much trouble that my dad took my phone away. And he happened to see a text message. It wasn't a bad text message. It was a, hey, when can we hang out kind of text message. But it was nothing bad, vulgar, I guess, what I can say. It was more of hey, I want to hang out with you and something like that. And I remember Dad seeing that. And I remember I knew that I was going to be in so much trouble. Because I knew that those text messages, reading just those text messages wasn't going to end there.
because Mom was going to find out.
Well, my whole thing was I knew when I got home, I knew my parents were going to go through my text messages. I knew that they were going to see all these things that were happening because I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that I was perfect. I'm not going to say that there wasn't text messages that were inappropriate that should have never been sent. But again, I was trying to keep a guy's attention. I was going to do whatever I had to do to keep this guy's attention. And so I got in trouble. I wasn't allowed to play soccer anymore. I also remember I wasn't allowed to, I had a permit. I wasn't allowed to drive. My permit went to waste. I was angry for a long time, obviously, because, I didn't get my license until I was 21. And I remember I was mad because Zach had his permit and I had my permits around the same time. And I remember, though, that my permit just went to waste. But,
Yeah.
it
was just sitting in the truck. And
That's funny because I remember when I was introduced into the family, I think I remember that you said that you had a permit or whatever, and I was just like, why doesn't Kim get
Well, Jordan comes from a different world. All my friends in California didn't drive until they were in their, I don't know. I want to say
later teen years, early 20s. I think that's
18,
common.
19.
Yeah, that's common.
I got my license at 18. I did, but I just went in to the DMV. I scheduled an appointment a day after on my birthday, and I went in on my birthday and got my license.
Is it because you guys are so close to everything here?
Well, it's just you can just, yeah, kind of. I mean, it's just I never really, anywhere I had to go, my mom was going, And if I had to be there, like say I was going to do something at the church, because I was in a band, or I served in the youth group a lot, or I served in the worship team a lot up on stage, and if I had to be there, and my mom was going in on a Friday, and normally I would have been there for school on Friday, I would have just taken all my stuff and stayed there and been there all day from like 8 in the morning to like
9 o'clock
church closing at 9-10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And somebody would be coming to pick me up. Like, I would be there all day.
Yeah.
So most of the time when I had to go somewhere, I was either going with somebody that was already on the way there, because that's what life is like as a homeschooler. There's not really a need for a car. Your aunt's kids can probably attest to that, because everywhere they go, they're with your aunt. They don't need a car immediately until they're a lot older, and it takes the burden off of her for the older kids to go on their own, so she doesn't have to drive them places. You see, now she's seeing that benefit, and you see that over and over. And I'd say that's why I didn't get my license until 18. I think that's why it's more common here. That was such an off subject, sorry.
No, yeah. So, like, going into detail about that. So, after I had my phone taken away for, I don't even know how long. I had it taken away for a really, really long time.
Yep.
I do know that. I mean, my parents didn't see a need for me to really have it, because I was homeschooled anyway, so it wasn't like I needed it to go to school or anything like that. And anywhere I was going to be, my parents...
And I was there. I was
like
pretty
you
much
said.
everywhere Kim went.
Yeah.
So I have my phone. I never got my phone taken away. Not to brag.
So, after that, I remember, at 15 years old, I remember I had a severe fear. And I would go to sleep at night, and I would have nothing but nightmares of him dragging me into the ocean and drowning me. I don't know why it was the ocean. I remember writing these down in a journal. I don't have those pages anymore. I blacked them out. But I remember having these vivid, like, I can to this day still picture, like, I can remember these nightmares very, very detailed. Like, I remember having nightmares of him having dug a hole under our house and, like, cutting a square underneath my bed and coming into my house in the middle of the night and just, like, ripping me out of my bed. I don't know why. No reasons, there was no rhyme to it. I had this severe fear of him, and I never knew why. I never did. And I remember that I was like, and I finally was like, okay, I lived my life. I went on, liked other people, moved on with my life. 18-year-old hits. I remember that it was actually right after you and Jordan got married. I came home from Washington, and I remember his sister invited me to her 18th birthday party, because we're a couple months apart. I'm born in June. She was born in September. She was having a birthday party up the street from our house. I remember going to the park, and I remember walking to the park, because it's not that far. So I remember walking to the park, and it hit me in the middle of walking. What am I going to do if I run into him? Mind you, I had ran into him like a year prior. I ran into him because I was going to go start classes at a community college, and he happened to be going to that community college. And I remember running into him, and when I saw his face, the only thing that snapped in my mind was those nightmares.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I'm going, like, and I remember that because I was a senior in high school, and I remember that Sam would have to take me to school. I legit had a fear. I had to be dropped off in front of my building and picked up in front of the building, because I knew he was there, but I didn't know where he was and what his schedule was like, and I didn't want to run into him again. And I forgot, though, like at 18 years old, I forgot the fact that was his sister. Like, I knew, but in the back of my head, I was like, whatever, he's moved on. He'll have a girlfriend. He'll forget about me. He'll forget about, like, anything that ever happened between us. And I remember,
Because you would think older, mature.
yeah,
I've
like I would
experienced
have
life.
thought, okay, so at this point I'm 18, so he's what, 22?
Yeah.
22? So I'm like, a couple of years later, you're going to forget about me. You have a girlfriend somewhere. Like, there's no way that you don't have a girlfriend. And I got to the park, and I didn't see him at first. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. He's not at his own sister's birthday party. Good for me. And then he shows up, and he's sitting there. And he sits right behind where I am kicking the ball. Like, I'm literally kicking a soccer ball, with his sister. And he sits, like, right behind. Not, like, behind me, but, like, in the corner of me. So, if, like, diagonal from me. I knew he was there. I remember seeing him. And I thought in my mind, oh, crap. Like, he's here. And he's alone. Like, he doesn't have anyone with him. I was like, crap. What am I going to do? And then sat there for a while. Obviously, celebrated her birthday. She was leaving. She was going to go to the movies with her boyfriend. And I was like, well, that's my cue to leave. And I remember I started walking back home. And I had changed my phone number, by the way. I remember I left. And then I had forgotten, I don't remember. I'd forgotten something. I needed it. So I obviously had to go back to the park to go get it. Well, I remember going back to the park, and I remember him being there. And I remember him handing me whatever it was. I literally can't even remember. And I remember him being like, my mom won't let you walk home by yourself. Mind you, I'm not even that far from our house. I'm like, what, 4 blocks?
Yeah,
and
if that.
I remember she's like, no, like, I remember he's like, no, my mom said you couldn't walk home by yourself. She wanted me to walk you home. She doesn't want you to go by yourself. It's 6 o'clock at night. It's not dark out. There's still sunlight. It's not like I'm walking in the pitch black. And I was like, whatever. Walk me home. That's fine. Like, that's going to be easier conscience. And I remember walking, and I was like, I don't want him to know where I live. I was like, so I stopped, like, I think it was a 20th. It was the street before our street. And I was like, okay, like, I'm almost home. You can go back. Like, we're good. And I remember him being like, oh, well, can I have your number? And I was like, whatever. So I gave him my number, obviously. Wrong. Mistake. I was like, whatever. Here's my number. Leave me alone. And I remember the first text message he sent me. It was, all I wanted to do was kiss you the whole time I walked you home.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the worst mistake of my life, to be honest with you. I didn't know what this was going to entail. 10 months later, talked to him this whole time. I remember about to head off to Arizona, and I, obviously, off and on, was going over to his grandmother's house, and I, of course, lied to my parents, like any...
Like a liar.
Like a liar. Yes, Jordan, exactly. Like a liar. I didn't always lie. I was actually twisted the truth. I did a lot of times go see his sister, but obviously knowing intentionally that he was going to be there. And again, worst mistakes of my life, because if I just would have cut it off, my life would be so much better. But I didn't listen to my instincts. Continued to talk to him, continued to go over there. Things happen, physical things. His sister became angry with me because she didn't like the fact that I was hanging out with her brother, and maybe because deep down inside she just knew he was horrible. Probably knew that I was making a mistake, but didn't know how to tell me that. Didn't know how to go against him.
That's kind of weird. That's so wrong. I was gonna ask, that was a question I was gonna wait to ask, but it's kind of like you're hitting on it now, and it's kind of like, did she kind of like? Do you feel that she kind of facilitated that? Like his just his outlook on what the way he looked at you, and maybe she was a part of the game?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Like she helped groom her.
I
Yeah,
don't. That's a
like-
good question. I honestly,
Like, do you think that maybe she was so
I-
so far into it that she didn't even know she was playing? She was a piece.
maybe it might have been. You know, I do remember. You know, even at 15, when I was hanging out with her, I remember her being like, "Don't talk to my brother. Like, don't talk to him. Like, if you talk to my brother, I'm not gonna be friends with you." And I just let, you know, I'm a sister. You know, obviously I would tell my friend that, don't talk to my brother. Like, I don't want you to talk to my brother. That's weird. You know, we're best friends. Like, don't talk to my brother. Like, that's just awkward. But I didn't heed her warnings, I guess you can say. Started hanging out with her less, started hanging out with him more. Went to the, mall. You know, did stupid younger adult things. Went to the mall. And I didn't realize it, but like I was saying, I started dating him. Actually, I somehow broke up with him. Don't remember even him being my boyfriend. It was more of like he just assumed we were boyfriend and girlfriend. And I remember I actually went on a family camping trip with someone in the homeschool. I went with a homeschool family, and it was me, that family, Jessica. We went on this camping trip. It was like a big church camping trip that they would have every year, and I remember going. And I went with this family, and I remember seeing an ex-boyfriend. I mean, we considered each other. We were together off and on. Well, no, we were together for a year. I mean, only saw each other at church, but like, I don't know. I thought it was a serious thing. I don't know where his mindset was on that, but I remember going, and he was there because he was part of the family ministry. And I remember that I was like, I can just end all things with this one guy, that I knew from soccer, and got back with this whole other guy that I knew from church, because again, I grew up with this other guy. And I remember it was July 11th. I remember this. I remember it was 7-Eleven. And I remember waking up that morning, and I texted this other guy. Not the one at the camp, but this other guy. I remember texting him, and I remember telling him, I think we just need to be friends. I don't want to be more than that. Like, friends, as in, yeah, we might see each other. Don't kiss me. Don't touch me. Platon, nothing going on between us. And I remember him being like, so you're breaking up with me? And I was like, we were never together. Like, you never asked me to be your girlfriend. And he's like, yes, I did. I asked you back in January. And I was like,
day.
And yeah, exactly.
You signed it in blood.
And I was like, so I'm like, I'm gonna go see about this. I'm going through my text messages. I'm like literally scrolling through text messages. I go all the way to January. There is no text message at all. Question, hey, you want to be my girlfriend? None of that. And I remember, like, I was so distraught. I was in tears, and I was distraught, and I was like, what did I do? I never felt like I had broken anyone. At that point, I was like, oh no, I broke his heart. And if you know me, I have a very, very tough, like, I act very tough. But when it comes to people, I don't like to hurt people.
Yeah.
I'm very caring. And, like, if I feel like I hurt somebody, I really just want to try to fix it. And I think I was like, oh no, like, I don't want to break your heart. And, like, of course I gave in to him. I gave him what he wanted. I became his girlfriend. And then I remember right before, though, like, it actually was the week I went to Arizona. I was leaving to Arizona. I went to the mall with him. And he bought me a ring in the middle of the mall. He got on one knee and made this big spectacle, all to promise that one day he might marry me. Not that he was proposing, that one day he would propose. And I was like, okay.
Cool, bud.
Cool, you know.
Cool story, bro.
That's cool. $5 ring. Nice. Yeah. Let's put a $5 ring on my finger.
Hey, I proposed to Jordan in the mall.
Oh.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with proposing to somebody in the mall. Sorry, Zach, no offense.
This isn't about me.
So, yeah, I was like, okay, whatever. I was in school. This is where fights started to begin between me and my mom. Awful fights. A lot of really bad, unwanted conversations of me just pouring hatred to my mom. You know, feeling like she's just against me. She just doesn't like my relationship. She just doesn't want me happy in my life. She wants me miserable. If it's not somebody she likes or someone she picked, she must just want to make my life miserable.
And what was this guy saying to you about your mom when you would talk to him about her?
That she just hated him. She doesn't know him. She only hears rumors about him and hearsay. She knows nothing about him. You know, I see the way he, you know, I look back and I really wish that I would have protected my mom a lot more than I did in this relationship, because he said some really, really mean things to her and she never deserved it. She never deserved anything that got said to her. And I think I rather just not think about the pain that he caused her, because like I know a lot of it had to do with like pain that I caused her too, because I was like, I just don't want to hear it. You just don't care about me. You just want to make my life miserable because you just don't want to see me happy in life. I want to say I was really, really distraught, and I was really depressed in college. There was a lot of nights I would sit in a dark closet in the back of my closet in my room, and I would just cry. I would lay on the floor, huddled into a ball, and I would bawl. And I would make sure my roommates weren't around because I just didn't want to be questioned. I wanted to cry. I wanted to be left alone. And I think that was the worst thing for me, though, because I really was alone. I had nobody. I only had my thoughts. Obviously, as a girlfriend, I had all his passwords. I linked up to all his social media. My mom blocked his phone number, so obviously the only thing that I can do is message him on the phone. And I messaged him through Messenger, and I was like, he's not talking to me. What's going on? Being the stalker, not stalker, but being the like FBI girlfriend, you know, I go through his social media, I put in his password, I go through it, I see a message, I look at the message, it's from a girl. Read this conversation. He is legit talking to this girl about all he wanted to do was go over to her house. And I was angry. I was livid. When I say I had a ring on my finger, that ring disappeared because, well, I mean, I had it throughout my whole relationship, but I remember that the night I found out that he was talking to this other girl, I got my ring and I threw it so hard. I lost it for like months. I found it when my roommates moved out of the room, because in the middle of the semester my roommate moved out and I had a room all to myself, and it was right before I was coming home for Christmas break. And I remember finding it.
What was the timeline between that? You getting the ring and you finding that out?
Probably 2 months, 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. That's
And I remember I felt so bad because I was like,
and all this time you're fighting with your mom, and he's saying she just doesn't understand.
She just doesn't like me, so she's just gonna say whatever she wants. She doesn't even know who I am. That was literally the argument every time he would talk about my mom. Is she doesn't know me, she's never gotten to know me, she won't even sit down and have a conversation with me, so she can't say anything about me. I remember texting one of my friends, and I was like, dude, you better come get me, because if you don't, I can't even promise that you're gonna see me. I'm probably gonna go back to California, because I'm about to go and do some reckless crap, because I'm so livid. I did nothing but support this guy, and he goes and talks to another girl, and we're talking about, like, she sent him photos of, like, her in bras. Like, it was a whole thing. It wasn't like just conversation, it was photos. And I'm actually, no, at this time I'm 19 years old, because I didn't go to college until I was 19, and I'm so mad. I was angry. I was livid.
Sorry.
So I texted my friend. I was like, you need to come get me. So she comes and gets me. At the time, she had this is a girl I met on a tour to go see the college, and we just kind of stayed friends. We stayed friends throughout the whole time I was there, but it was never like we were best friends kind of thing. But it was, if I didn't have her, I didn't know what I actually would have done that night. She came to my dorm room. First thing she did was she took my phone from me, and she turned it off, and she put it in my desk drawer. And she said, you're not going to have a phone for the rest of the night. All you need is an ID, and that's it. Don't worry about a thing. Don't worry about a debit card. Just get an ID. We're going out tonight. I said, okay. I went to a hookah bar with her and her boyfriend and then one of his friends. And then I'm so bad. I went back to her boyfriend's hotel, and his friend had a hotel room. And I thought about it because I was so angry. I thought about going into this other guy's room because I really just didn't care at the time. I was so angry. But again, in the back of my mind, I thought, it doesn't matter, because I know who I am, and I don't want to be that person. Oh. And I was like, okay. So I didn't talk to him for like 10 days. Anytime he called me, I ignored it. Anytime he messaged me, I ignored it. I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to have anything to do with him. I was broken. As broken as I really could be. I had already been broken before, and I didn't think I really could break anymore. And I was even more broken than I had been before. And I think because I was broken, I think he played into my brokenness, and he took over. And I'm sorry, like, I'll mend you back together, I'll put you back together, it'll be okay, I'll never do it again.
He's a monster.
But the person who traps the mouse in the cage, and also the person who rescues, if he's also the person that rescues the mouse,
right? So 19 years old, and this relationship went on for 5 years. 5 years, almost 5 years. It was actually short of 5 years by like a couple of months. I went to school for 2.5 years. Anytime I wanted to go out, I wasn't allowed to go out. I wasn't allowed to live a college lifestyle. I had to tell him where I was constantly. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I wanted to dye my hair. I had to ask permission.
You had to give him updates on where you were going, but he was the one who cheated on you?
Right. So it was like I was cheated. I was the one who was being accused of cheating. And of course, I'm going to do, because I just want happiness, I'm going to do it. But there was a lot, I'm not going to deny, there was a lot of times I would pretend that I fell asleep just so I didn't have to answer him. And I would go out.
Live your life?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
I went to house parties. I, went out and hung out with friends. Like, I wasn't even allowed. He had to know who my friends were and had to have friends. Like, he had to friend request all of my friends from college.
Wow.
I was not allowed to have a friend that he was not allowed to talk to. Like, he had to be able to talk to all my friends. Mom's gonna kill me. So, obviously I'm in Arizona. He pays for me to have a plane ticket, not a plane ticket, a bus ticket. Greyhound. We're not talking about middle of the day Greyhound bus ride. We're talking about like 7 at night, not getting into California until 2 a.m. by myself. Not a single person that I know is with me. I am by myself taking a Greyhound. I remember coming here, and I actually wasn't that far from my parents' house. I was like right up the street the whole time I was here. I was here for like 2 days. Yeah. But I remember that he paid for my ticket to come down here. But when it came to me going back, he had no money. He had no
loser
money. I think I actually had to ask my mom for money, and I don't remember. I think I told her it was for groceries. I want to say it was for groceries, but I needed to get back to school because I needed to be back in my classes, because I was like, I told him, I was like, if I'm coming down, I'm not missing a class, so you better make sure that like you schedule it around my classes. And I came down here for like 2 days, went back, I paid for myself to go back to Arizona, and I was like, never again am I going to take a 7 p.m. bus ride. That is the scariest thing for a female to take. I literally white knuckled it all the way down back to LA because I was like, what if something happens to me? Like, I literally can be raped in the back of this bus. Like, how low can you be that you can't even like have the decency to even care about my well-being? Of anything could have happened to me. I could have disappeared and nobody would have known where I went. I'm sure they would have blamed you, but like, that wouldn't explain where my body went. And right before I moved back to California, he went to Arizona he just went to Arizona. He went with his grandmother. And I was like, no. Like, no. Just leave me alone. He came. He was there for a weekend. And he was like, I need to meet all your friends in person.
Ugh.
And I was like, okay, whatever. He only met 2 of my friends too. He only met my friend Jen and my friend, what's her name? Alondra.
We remembered your name, Alondra. Don't worry.
He only met them 2, and both of them were like, I don't know. There's just something about him I don't like. Wow. My friend Jen was like, I just don't like him. I can't tell you why, but I just don't like him.
Did they know that he had cheated on you?
Maybe. I don't think Jen did. I don't think she found out until later. I don't think I told her until later. I'm not really... I was a friend of convenience for Alondra, by the way. Like, it wasn't like we were like... I was more of like the fill-in friend when she didn't have her like best friend around her. It was more of like, hey, I'm gonna call Kim because I'm bored and I have nothing better to do.
Well, Alondra, Kim was a good friend to you, and you suck. So you should be a better friend to her. So you should say hi to her, and you should know what she was going through at the time and be better. So stop being a pansy and say hi. I take back that you were a good friend.
But like at the time though, like my friend Jen was also in a relationship. She was busy with the guy she was with. So like it was more of like a hi-bye thing. She really didn't have conversations with him. She only messaged him once, and it was I don't even remember what exactly it was, but I remember it was something about me, and he was trying to find out where I was, I think it was. And he messaged her, and she was like, I don't know where she's at. Like, she's probably in class. That's probably why she's not answering your text messages right now.
Wait, that's so creepy. What in the world, man?
Yeah.
Ugh, dude, that is some weird. It's not weird. It is downright disgusting. That's what it is.
Yeah, so like I wasn't allowed to do anything in college. Like I feel like I don't want to say I feel like I missed out on things. I did do things, but on the other hand, I feel like I probably would have done a lot more. I probably would have experienced college a little differently. I think I was just kind of I'm rebellious. I'm not with him, so I don't have to tell him where I'm at, and he doesn't ever have to find out. Like, what he doesn't know is not going to hurt him. I came back home after 2.5 years due to not having enough credits, I guess, to stay on campus. So I guess, in a way, school kind of kicked me out. Not like I did anything wrong, but it was more of like, hey, you're not taking enough classes, you can't stay on campus. I didn't know it in Arizona, so I was like, I can't just, I'm just gonna stay here and bum it in the street. Like, I couldn't do that. I didn't know anyone, so I had to come home. And I remember that was like the greatest thing to him. He was like, yes, she's gonna be home. I don't have to worry about her because, like, I know where she lives. I can check on her 24/7, whenever I want. Call her, and if she's not answering, I could just drive by her house. Because I had just gotten my license, so I had my own car. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I think a big part of me was scared to come home because I knew that was more of like, that means I'm going to have to spend more of my time with him. And if I spend more of my time with him, like, more things are going to happen. And I don't want to say that it was like a norm, but it was kind of something that I was used to, was like going to where he lived. I knew the moment I stepped foot on his porch, I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew that I wouldn't even say, I want to say the longest I probably kept my clothes on in his house was maybe 2 minutes. There was never a moment that, like, I would walk in his house and be able to sit there and actually watch a TV
Explicit
show.
warning.
Watch a TV show. I mean, it was like immediate. It was like as soon as I walked through the door and as soon as that door closed, it was like my clothes was literally being ripped off of my body. I had no control of anything. And if I said no, it was always, you don't love me. If you love me, you'll let me do this. If you love me, you'll have sex with me. If you'll show me affection.
Ugh.
And if you don't show me affection, that means you don't love me. If you're not letting me do what I want to you, then you're just being a brat and spoiled, and you don't, it was more of like, you're not allowed to have control over yourself. I remember that was going on. And I mean, that was going on from before I started dating him. Things were happening to, I was scared to coming home because I knew that's exactly what was going to start happening again. I knew walking into that home, and I want to say that I was grateful anytime his grandmother was home or his sister was there, because that means that nothing was going to ever happen to me. But as soon as they walked out of sight, or as soon as they walked out that door, it was like, nope, push you on the couch. Nope, pull your pants off. Oh, you don't want this? Oh, well. Oh.
Man.
They're home, so let's just go into the laundry room. And mind you, like, you'd have to walk out of the grandmother's house and go into like, there's an actual like building that's behind her window. That's an actual laundry room that has a door. And if it didn't happen in the laundry room or in the house, it was, okay, I'll take you home now. But before you're allowed to even get out of the car, get in the back seat. And, I was like, what if a cop comes? Oh, well. I'm like, oh, well. What?
The guy just doesn't know. He doesn't even see you as a human being. That's the entire premise of what the mentality.
And that's
of
how
that
I
kind of
felt.
person is.
I felt like I
You're not even a human.
wasn't. I felt like I wasn't in control anymore. I had to like think, and I'm like, why? I'm not in control. I remember going to get my first tattoo, and I was 22 years old. And I remember telling him what I was going to get. And it was supposed to be a Peter Pan on my foot, on the, like, bottom of my foot. It was supposed to be like a shadowed version, kind of like Peter Pan's shadow. I wanted it on my foot. I thought to myself, I don't really want that as a first tattoo. I don't know what that feels like. And I've heard that, like, foot tattoos really hurt. So I don't want to get something that's going to hurt me to be my first tattoo. So I ended up getting the handwriting of the tattoo artists of Never Grow Up. Because I've always had this obsession with Peter Pan. So I got Never Grow Up on my wrist. And I remember before I came home to show my parents my tattoo, I went over to his grandmother's house to show him my tattoo. And I remember he was angry because it wasn't what I told him I was going to get. It wasn't where I told him I was going to get it. And he was livid. He was angry. And he was like, how did you pay for that? And I was like, what do you mean? How did I pay for that? I didn't have to pay for it. It was a gift. And he was angry. He didn't talk to me. I also like remember in college I got my belly button pierced, and I remember he was angry about that. Did I give you permission to do that? Did I tell you can go get your belly button pierced? Cuz I don't remember you asking me.
Thanks, Dad.
And I think that's what it kind of felt like. I was like,
jeez, like,
dad?
Come on, you loser. Like, your dad isn't even like that. I got my first tattoo at 18 years old, and my dad hates tattoos. He thinks they're a waste of time. He said that what you would be able to look at the same amount of time you could look at as a picture in your house. It'd be the same equivalent, because once you're dead, it doesn't matter.
But it's personal opinion.
Yeah, of course. That's how I see it.
Yeah. So I remember that, and I remember I was mad. I was like, whatever. I stormed out of his house, and mind you, this is literally on my 22nd birthday. It's my birthday. Like, not happy birthday. How's your birthday so far? No, I'm angry at you because you didn't tell me what you were gonna get and where you were gonna get it. And I was like, whatever. I'm just gonna go home because I'm not gonna deal with this. Like, it's my birthday. I don't have to deal with this. And I came home. I was like, whatever. Things started to cut. I want to say after that, they kind of got, like, more aggressive. Not in a physical, but, like, a very verbal way. I thought he was a verbal before, but didn't realize how verbal he was. It turned into a lot of fights of, I'm just acting like a spoiled brat. I don't know what it's like living the life that he's lived, because I've always had everything handed to me because my parents have money. I have my own room. I don't have to worry about not having a roof over my head. I get everything paid for. I remember I had just gotten an actual job at 22. I mean, I didn't really have to work. My parents did support me. And I was going to school, so I really didn't have to, get a job at 18 like most people do. Because my parents were there, and my mom and dad always told me, if you're not going to be in school, you're going to work. And if you're going to be in school, you don't have to worry about working. And that was always like a logic they put on us. And so I didn't work until I came back after school, and it took some time. I actually didn't work for a while. And then like July, I got a job, and it was always, where's your money going? What are you buying? What are you wasting your money on? Why are you buying that? I remember buying a Disney pass. It was like $68 a month because I was making the monthly payments. And I remember him telling me, you're wasting money on a Disneyland pass. And I was like, it's my money. What do you care how I'm spending it? Well, you could be saving it. And I was like, you really want to go there? You really want to talk about money? I do save my money. I've bought myself stuff. I don't need my parents for any of it. I don't pay rent in my parents' home, obviously, but like, I'm still buying my own stuff. I was buying my own clothes at the time. I would pitch in with food. And I decided that my one luxury thing that I was going to buy was a Disneyland pass. I had money for it. My mom gave me a gift card purposely.
You're your own person. You were allowed to make your own decisions. And especially when you're not married. You're an individual, and that's just it. And
I think that's what it came down to. I was like, you're just my boyfriend. You're not my husband. I don't have kids with you. And then that became a thing of, well, I'm just going to get you pregnant. You can't leave.
Whoa.
You're just going to get pregnant. And then it turned into, if we had kids, your family's not allowed to see them. And if you take my kids ever meet your family, if our kids ever meet your family, I'm taking them away from you. I'm getting full custody over them. You will never see your children again.
Except for he doesn't realize California is a mother's state. Like, come on, dude, you're an idiot.
So I remember that I went to my doctor and I was like, I need to be put on birth control because I'm not getting pregnant. Like, that was one thing.
That's a good choice. I think in those cases, that is a really good option, I think.
Yeah, I remember, and I was like, I went to the doctor, and the funny thing was, he actually went with me. I went to the doctor, and I was like, I need to be put on birth control. And I remember there was times that my birth control went missing. And I was like, I'll just start a new pack. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll go right after this visit. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
And
I wish you could see my face.
So I remember I was like, that's it. Like, if that's really if you're going to be petty, I'm going to be petty too. Like, I'm going to go on birth control. You're never going to get me pregnant. I will find all ways to make sure I don't ever have one of your kids. And like I said, I was like, nope, not gonna happen, because that was the last thing. And I was like, you really think that you're gonna take my kids away from me?
At this point, do you how many years are you into it? Out of the 5?
I think I went on birth control before I even went, right when it was like in between. I was still in college at the time. It probably had to been like maybe 2 years into the relationship. I was like, I'm going on birth control because I don't want to.
You already knew. I mean, obviously you knew you didn't want to get pregnant anyways because you were young and not married. Yeah. But you knew definitely not his kid. So did you feel trapped in the relationship at this point, or?
I think when I originally went on birth control, it was more of like like you said, I didn't want to get pregnant. But in college, obviously you're not, like, I'm not going to deny that I was not consistent, but I was also in college. Like, I wasn't seeing him, so it wasn't like as important. I think it became more of a serious thing when I moved back, of making sure that I was taking it every day, making sure that, like, I didn't miss it. And if I did, like, I was making sure that, like, I was not going to get pregnant, because I would, like, fight tooth and nail of not letting him get on top of me, because I was like, nope, I'm not going to get pregnant. I'm not going to live this life of you telling me my own mother is not allowed to see my children, And if they do see them, that you're gonna take them away from me. I was like, I'm
that
not.
was really brave of you. I can't even. You're going through something at the time. Like, I think the only thing I want to say is like, you should have. Silly of you to think that somebody wouldn't have helped. I think.
I don't.
And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really, really not.
I don't
love
think
you.
it was that.
And I'm just trying to say that any one of the people who live in this home would have jumped in front of a train to have stopped everything.
And I know that. I never doubted that. I think my whole thing was I had put myself in a hole. It was more of like I was a grenade, and I didn't want to have casualties, and I think that's why
there
even
were not
more
going to be
so.
any casualties, and if there was going to be any, it was only going to be one person.
I think it was
Allegedly.
more so.
I'm not making any threats to any person.
Here's the circle that it goes in. It's this capturing you with the fact that you already did things that were just degrading to you, that things that were shameful, things, those were the foundation of your relationship. But also, he's your savior. He's the one that is your one and only. But your relationship was built off of just shame and just horrible things that he made you do. So it entraps you in this like, oh, I've already come this low, so might as well just F it.
I think that's kind of how I felt. I was like, I'm already at rock bottom. It can't get
he's telling me
any worse.
He's
from
still
here.
telling me that he's going to promise me everything, so I'm just going to stick with this.
So enough about the satisfaction that you think he gets out of it. What? I don't think he's listening, and if you are, and you know who you are, I want you to know, and I want you to tell me what he doesn't gain.
Yeah, you're right. I look at it this way. One, obviously he doesn't have me. Two, I look at it as I wouldn't be where I am now in life, as happy as I am in life, if I would have stuck there. I broke out of a cycle, and I didn't let it tear me down anymore. I was like, I'm not going to be this depressed, moping around, sad person. I was going to be the person I was before I met him. I was going to be happy. I was going to let my family love me because I deserved to be loved. I deserved every ounce of love that my family always wanted to give me, and I didn't let them. I got out of a vicious cycle that I thought I was stuck in, and it made me powerful because I knew that I can break out of it. And I knew that if I needed help, I did have my family. And obviously I later, it was never too late to turn to my family, but at the end of the day, I had to turn to my family because I just couldn't do it anymore. I was so low and so weak and so...
I was actually, I was one of the first people.
Yeah.
That,
I remember...
I couldn't talk to.
I remember calling you too. For a whole year, I actually tried to break up with him too. Mind you, a whole year. He told me the only thing that would make him leave or not want to be with me is if I cheated on him. I'm not going to deny that I didn't think about it a lot because I was like, as shallow as that would be of me, at least I knew he would be out of my life. But again, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that to myself. I couldn't put myself in that. So, I I remember I had to go to work too. I remember I went to work. I worked early that morning and I was getting off and he was like, we had gotten in a huge fight actually like the week before. I was like, I want to say it was like around Valentine's Day. I was angry about something and I remember what was the final straw for me was being at one of his family members' houses and he was acting really, really, really aggressive. And I remember it was all because I touched his phone. I touched his phone to look at the time because my phone was in the other room and they were watching a boxing match and I didn't want to disturb them. And his phone was right there and I went to go reach for his phone.
Oh, wow.
And that was like the worst mistake of my life because it was like, what are you doing? Don't touch my phone. And I was like, I remember getting in his car and it turned into a huge fight. And I was like, okay. So what was that all about? And he's like, you know that I don't like people touching my phone and this and that. And I was like, I remember at the beginning of our relationship, I used to have passwords to everything. You've kicked me out of all your social media. I have no access to your Instagram. I have no access to your Facebook. I have no access to anything in your phone. I don't even have your phone password anymore. What is it you're not telling me? Because there's something going on that you're hiding. I'm not hiding anything. What are you trying to accuse me of? Exactly what I'm trying to accuse you of. I'm accusing you of cheating. You've done it before. What makes me not think you're not doing it again? You're keeping your phone from me. No, I just don't like people touching my phone. It turned into a huge argument. And I remember him saying, if you're just going to fight with me, then get out of my goddamn car. I am literally in the middle of Pico. Near...
Yeah.
You know the, like, cross, like... Do you know where Iguanas is?
Iguanas, yeah.
I'm all the way over there.
Yeah.
I'm that far into Pico. Like, I'm a good, like, at least 20-minute drive from my house. And I remember being like, you know what? Fine. And I remember trying to jump out of his car. And I remember him grabbing me by the arm and saying, what do you think you're being? You're being a stupid bitch. Get the fuck back in my car. You're not going anywhere. And I was like, I'd rather be out on the streets and let something happen to me than be in a car with you because I don't know where you're at anymore. Mentally, you are not where you were. You're not in the right headspace because you put your hands on me. And I think that was my final straw because I was like, he's been verbal to me. I thought in my mind, how long is it going to take him to be physically like punching me, hitting me? We had gotten into nasty arguments and it was always, yelling, but never did he ever, that I can recall him putting his hands on me until then. And I was like, nope. I was like, no. I did let him drive me home because I was just like, I didn't really want to jump out of the car. I just didn't talk to him. I was like, whatever, got in my house. And I didn't talk to him for 2 weeks. And I remember him messaging me. And I knew that I wanted to break up with him. He's like, let's meet up for breakfast. I said, well, I work. Okay, we'll meet up for lunch. So I remember, I got out of work, came home, changed. And I remember calling Zach on the phone. And I remember telling Zach, I'm about to do something that I know is going to hurt me. Because I've been in this relationship for 5 years. And it's going to take everything in me to leave. Doesn't matter how bad it was. I had a really hard time leaving this relationship for some awful reason. And I think a lot of it was a mental thing. Because it was always, if you leave, I'm going to kill myself. If you leave, I'm going to disappear and nobody's ever going to find me and my family's going to blame you.
So, in other words, he was nothing but a coward.
Yeah. And I think, I know this sounds really bad, but I remember that I was like, fine. You want to be suicidal? You want me to I'm going to put it back on you. Fine. I'm going to kill myself. I remember telling him that I was going to kill myself. And, you know what he told me? I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to call you, and I'm going to call you in as a psycho. They're going to put you in a psych ward. You're crazy. You're crazy. and they're going to believe it. I will make sure they know that you're crazy. You will be in a psych ward for the rest of your life because you're psychotic. You don't know how to control yourself, Kim. And I was like, I'm a psycho. And I believed it for a really long time. I believed that I was crazy. I'm not going to deny that I don't have mental problems sometimes, but I doubted my own sanity a lot through my relationship. And I think that was a huge thing where I was like, no, I'm not psychotic. No, I'm not mentally unstable. I know where I am. I know what I'm doing. And the best decision for me to do is to leave because you're the one who's making me crazy. You're the one who's making me psychotic. You know? And I remember that. And I remember him like, I already called the cops. They're on the way to your house. And I was like, crap, the cops are coming. You know, because obviously I'm going to believe it. And I mean, I can laugh about it now, but I remember being scared because I was like, oh no, what if he really does? What if he, you know, what if he does get me into a psych ward?
So
what
that's
if
a
they do
legitimate
believe
fear
him?
that he had inflicted on you.
Yeah, I was legit.
It's so psychological, the torment that they can, because they get you to believe these things or to doubt. No, they don't. It's not that they get you to believe these things. It's that they get you to doubt what you believe already. Just malignant people, or just malevolent people, I mean.
But yeah, going back to it, I called Zach, and I remember telling him that I was like, I pray that I had the strength, because I don't have anything left in me. I don't have strength. I legit don't have an ounce of strength in me, and I need strength to come from somewhere, because I can't do this. I can't. And I remember I didn't. I remember going to lunch, and I remember just watching him cry and beg for me. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this face to face. And, you know, you think about, breakups over text messages. That's so... But you also got to remember where the mental state of both of us were. I literally was not in a mental state to be able to do that, because he knew that I couldn't hurt people, and he played that against me. Yeah. He cried to me and said that I couldn't do that to him, that I was just breaking his heart. And I was like, but do you understand how much you're breaking my heart? Do you not understand that my heart is literally shattered into a million pieces, and that you've tore it apart, and that you've ripped it apart? And I've lived with trying to just sit there and have my heart taped together, and then you constantly just ripping that tape back off, and that piece just falling back. You know, I didn't break up with him because I just couldn't do it to his face. 2 days later, I remember, again, I was going to go to work, and I remember I was going to go to work, and I looked at Sam, and I was like, I can't write this message out. I'll tell you what I want it to pretty much say, but put it in your own words, but make it sound like me. And I remember Sam writing out this message, and I was like, you're gonna have to send it, because I can't send it either. I'm legit gonna erase this whole message if you give me my phone back. And I remember Sam sent the text message, and I remember him calling me, and he called me, and he called me, and I was like, I can't do this. I was bawling. Like, when I say, I'm sure when I went to work, I'm sure people thought that I was high or something. My eyes were so red. I was like bawling. Like, I couldn't, like, I was having a panic attack, because I was like thinking about everything, though, you know, him calling me, him texting me. Finally, actually, my mom had to answer my phone, because I was distraught. I was like beyond distraught. I couldn't even like talk. I was like I don't even know how I made it through work that day, because I literally just was speechless. I couldn't talk at all. And never had my mom ever talked to him. And my mom was so civil. Just, you know what? You just need to leave her alone. You don't understand how broken she really is. And if you do, then you need her to let her mend her pieces. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. It will be brought back together. I can't stop God's will. If God's will really was for you guys to be together, then I can't stop it. And it's meant to be, but you just need to let her be. You need to let her alone. And if she comes back, she comes back. But, like, leave her alone. And a couple of days I was like, I have to go to work every day, you know. I work up the street. He knows exactly where I worked. He went to my job. And I remember being like, he's going to show up at my job. And I worked late nights most days. And I was afraid. I was afraid of him showing up at my job because we had to park all the way in the back of the parking lot. And I had to go from the front door all the way to the back near the trash can every night. And it became a point where I was like, I can't even drive myself to work. So I had to be dropped off and picked up from work. And it got more real and more serious. And I remember one night I was actually outside. Probably had to been like a couple months after this breakup. I remember being outside and I was hanging out with one of my friends. And I wasn't paying attention because I'm oblivious. Like, I'm not focusing on what's happening around me. I'm literally having a conversation with somebody. I'm not going to pay attention. And I remember my friend going, do you know that person over there sitting in that car? And I was like, I don't know why. He's like, he's been sitting there staring at us this whole time. And I was like, I looked at the person. I looked at the car. I didn't even have to look at the person. I looked at the car. And I automatically knew whose car it was. I knew it was the dad's car. And I can swear to you that it was his dad just sitting there watching.
Was his dad stalking you?
Yeah. I don't know if he sent it.
Family's just a stalker family. What
And
the f- is
I
up
think
with
another
that?
thing that played into my mind was it was always told, if you leave me, I'll find you. But your family will never find you after I find you. And I was like, what? Yeah, I'll just lock you in a closet somewhere. Your family will never be
Jeez.
able to find you.
Who the f- do you think this guy thinks
And
that,
then-
like, I'm not to say that, like, I'm not a violent person. I think everybody in my family knows I'm not a violent person. But to think, like, her own sister, her own brothers aren't going to, like, protect her, or her family's not going to protect you. You know, that's, like, kind of foolish to me. That's a foolish mistake on his part. I just want to put that out there.
I think also was like, I knew his family. I knew he had bad people in his family. And then my fear was, they're going to come after me. If he doesn't come after me, they'll come after me. He'll send them after me. He always told me, don't worry. I have people everywhere. They'll find you. Doesn't matter where you go. They'll find you. They'll bring you back. And I was like, okay. So I think after that, I remember going to my parents and I was like, I can't live here anymore. I had quit my job. That's how scared I was. I had quit my job prior, but it also had to do with the fact that I was supposed to go to my friend's wedding and my work wouldn't let me go. So I was like, okay, bye, I'm leaving. I'm gonna quit anyways. I had quit my job and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna mosey off in another state. And I moved. I remember calling Zach and Jordan up and I was like, I need to be away. I need to be out of California. I need to get my head straight. I can't live my life in a fear of walking out my door and his family just being there because they knew where I lived. And I remember actually for a whole year, and it was a whole year I lived in Washington. I never posted where I lived. And it wasn't even it became not even a fear of him finding me. It actually became a fear of him finding you guys and something bad happening to Evelyn. And I was like, I can't let that happen. If he finds me, like, and then I think that was another thing was I was scared to even move with you guys because I was afraid of him finding me. And I was afraid of him finding Evelyn and something bad happening to her. And then I would have felt responsible. And I was like, I actually partly almost didn't move to Washington because of the fact of I was afraid of him finding me.
But
and
I mean,
something
what were the
happening.
options? I don't see.
I mean, I didn't have much options.
Yeah, there's not really an outcome blatantly to me when I hear that. And you have all the pieces laid out in front of you. And then you're like, what are the options that I have? In my head, your story that you give me is a story that I built myself without so much detail, but pretty much the same summary of what I thought your relationship with this said person is. And I didn't know anything about your relationship. I mean, the entire time I was at Jordan and you were talking to him, I didn't ever bring it up, and I never talked to anybody about it, and I only knew what other people told me about it. So, but I was able to put pieces together. I'm pretty smart when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm able to I analyze things outside. I'm quiet. I don't just interject myself into everything. I'm a very quiet. I observe more than the average person. I'd say that's how I'm able to do so. It's less of a I gain information from talking, and more so I really, really watch from really far away. And I'm pretty accurate. It's very... When you called me... Well, I want to tell you that Mom actually called me before you called me.
Oh, I know.
Mom told me, and I said, before Mom even suggested it, I told Mom, I said, you need to send her up here as soon as possible. That was my idea. Mom didn't... I guess Mom called to ask about that, but I said it before Mom even suggested it. So, I really just wanted you and everybody to understand that I wanted you to get out of that situation as best as possible. Everything that you tell me is everything I think and know why you needed to leave. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that decision.
No, it's actually crazy, just the survival instinct that you have, that you knew, and because that guy was a total narcissist, for sure. And one of the only ways to get out of those relationships is just to completely...
And funny enough, like, I, in the middle of the relationship, had said that I knew he was a narcissist. I just couldn't connect dots. I didn't 100% knew what I didn't know what a narcissist was.
People don't teach it.
But,
Yep.
I don't know. Something clicked in my mind, and I was like, he's narcissistic.
I feel like psychology is probably something that should be taught a lot earlier than
Anybody.
It should be taught earlier than
No, but
that.
I'm saying it's normally only brought in.
Yeah,
like,
and that's not
level.
and that's not okay, because look at how you were affected by it at 15 years old. But what if, granted, the kid has to want to study school to understand some of these things, but the information's there at a young age for them to understand these things, and we're supposed to understand. We need to understand the stupid things that people set up in educational,
and
and they're really dumb things that have nothing to do with life, but we can't even understand mental disorders that some people might have, that we might encounter, so that we can prepare ourselves early on to deal with those situations.
So like I think part of my thing was I wish that I would have learned, psychology a lot earlier in life, because I probably would have known warning signs of being in this, emotionally, manipulative relationship that I was in. I mean, I remember going to the psychology classes, and I remember, going, and something in my mind always just clicked. Don't know why I didn't listen to my own, mind, but something in my mind clicked. Like, I think that's probably where I got this whole he was a narcissist from, was psychology. I never really went into detail about it, but like, they, some signs about it. And I remember moving to Washington, and I was like, I need something to explain. Like, I don't really know how to explain this relationship. And I later like looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's a verbally and emotionally abusive relationship that I was in. I looked it up actually, and some of the huge warning signs are things like extreme jealousy, controlling behaviors, unrealistic expectations, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of scenarios, which was a huge thing. He was always Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Sometimes I thought he was bipolar because I was like, you're happy one second and you're mad the next.
You're literally crazy.
Yeah.
It's like you're literally crazy.
Just one of the biggest things, though, like really popped out was one of the biggest signs that he always showed was there was two. He always blamed others for his problems. That's a huge thing. It was always, it's your mom's fault. It's your dad's fault. It's your family's fault. You're unhappy because your family. It was never him.
Of course not. He can't be. Oh no, it can never be me.
Yeah, it was
Not
never
me.
him. And another one is always just attempting to make you question yourself. Throughout my relationship, all I did was question myself. My sanity was a huge thing that I questioned, like I said. I believed. Sometimes I still believe I'm insane. Other times, though, I like think to myself and I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. I have moments, and I think a lot of my like mental health has to do with just the fact of being in this relationship so long. But one of my my biggest things is the fact that I questioned my sanity for 5 years. That's a long time to question whether or not you're crazy. He made me believe that I was bipolar. At least 3 years into our relationship, I literally thought I needed to be on medication because I thought I was bipolar.
What they do is they make you question, like when you tell them something that happened, you're telling them the story, and then they make you question the details of that story, and they make it seem like they have the sharper memory, and you start to rely on their memory because they're questioning your side of the story to where you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't that way, and then you start to just rely on them.
Yeah.
And then it's just a just automatic mode where you just don't even anymore. It's just you just rely on them.
So after I looked into that, I also looked into short-term and long-term effects after being in a abusive relationship like that. And fear, hopelessness, those are some short terms, long-term, and I'm not going to doubt that I'll probably have it for the rest of my life. But anxiety is a long-term effect. And anxiety is one of the hardest things for people to really overcome on a day-to-day. I think I've learned to control it a lot better as years have went on, but I still have anxiety, walking out my door. I still have fear walking out my door, but like at the end of the day, like I'm in a house full of 11 people, I don't have fear that if anything happened to me, that no one would come after the person. I know exactly that would be the first person they would probably go after or something.
Don't come to our house. Don't come to our house. Don't come to our house. I don't know how many times I should say this. Other people need to know. Don't come to our house. It's not an invitation. Don't come to our house. I don't know who you are. Don't come to my house. Who are you?
Sometimes the long-term effect can also be not being social anymore. And I had to push myself to be social. I actually became a hermit. I literally wouldn't even come out of my room. I only would go to work, and then not even then. Sometimes I was like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Like I was in a spiral depression. And then symptoms are anger outbursts. I've dealt with those my whole life, but I think they can become really worse. I still have anger outbursts to this day, and I'm not gonna blame it on that, but I think it does have an effect because in the back of my head, like I'm still I don't let the situation overcome my life, but I can't lie and say it's not something that I don't relive moments in my life. I still relive some of those moments. It's something I'm going to have to deal with the rest of my life, but it's just, I have to learn to cope with these things and not let them overtake my life. I have to learn how to, instead of having an anger outburst, maybe, sitting there and talking, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm going through right now. This is my mental state. Like, I just need a moment.
Right, because there's triggers that take you, there's things that you don't even realize would be a trigger to you, but things that make you feel like you're, like anything that maybe would make you question your sanity, if somebody were to do that and you would be triggered by that, or feeling like not in control of something, could make just people who have been through a relationship like that just have just random outbursts of anger and just not even realizing where did that come from, because it's like there's like a really deep down issue.
Yeah. I think the whole, what I want to get out of this whole thing is I want to be able to be there for anyone who needs to talk. I mean, obviously I don't have degrees in this, but like,
yeah, well, like, what's
I've
your
been through it.
advice? What's your advice? Let's pose it in this form so that way it can be formulated for somebody to easily understand. What, for anybody out there right now who is struggling with maybe a relationship that is abusive, or you feel there's no exit, and you feel that you're in a black hole, what is your advice to those people?
The sooner you get out of there, the better you're gonna be. The faster you're gonna.
How do you find it? Where do you start looking for the light? What is the beginning step? Because I can't see that somebody who only sees darkness is going to see the steps immediately. So what is the beginning steps to take towards understanding that you're in the pit and you need to leave?
That's true. I was told, or no, I wasn't told. I listened to somebody tell me that sometimes when you notice like a friend is in a relationship that you were going through,
Mm-hmm.
like if I were to know all these things, and I were like, you're in an abusive relationship, get out.
That's the funny thing. I was told. I'd been told by multiple people.
They say that they say when you do that though to people, that it can make them stay longer. It can have the opposite effect, and it can make them kind of like hermit back into that person more and stay longer than they actually could have.
I'm not
so
saying
is there a point where there's like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, my question is it's not how, I don't want you right now to tell all these people, and if you're like me, you need to get out. No. I think more importantly than telling them leave is more important, what's the smallest, least amount of effort that they can put into seeing this, a sign of something relating to somebody who might be holding them hostage. If you could think of like something that was always there, that was small, that but has been lingering forever and is always and coattailed it forever and never left.
Just like the red flags that she saw.
Yeah, it's like the first red flag that's never left.
My first red flag was just the way he talked to me. It was always demeaning. It was always like, you don't know anything. I know better than you. Like, it was more of like, you're a child. I'm an adult. You're a child. You have to listen to me. I'm going to talk to you. It was always degrading, talking down to me. It was never an equal, name calling. Name calling was the biggest thing. I was always being name called. I was always a brat or a bitch. I was just a child. I was stupid. Name calling is a huge thing that a lot of people just push off to the side.
But
It's not okay. It's not okay to be called, you know, anything that's demeaning or degrading. You're not meant to be there. If they can't treat you the way you deserve to be treated, then you shouldn't stay, because it's not going to end. It's not going to get any better. It doesn't matter how many times he promised me. It never got better. It just got worse. The name calling just became more frequent. It just became more hurtful. It just became more harsh. There was no, you know, and I always believed it. I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. But it never ended. To this day, I hate being called a brat because it reminds me of him. I don't like being called spoiled because, you know what? I may have not been at the lowest of lows, but I did know what it was like to have to grow up and not have anything too. Just because I live in a nice home now and I have my own bedroom doesn't mean that I didn't see my parents, even at a young age. I knew my parents had hard times. As much as they try to hide it, it still happened. But
it's not something that was like, it's not something that made a difference in my life.
No. But yeah, you should never, you know, I understand people get angry and they say things out of anger. But when it's a constant thing, that's a huge warning sign of you need to leave. You don't need to be in that anymore. You shouldn't be. You're nobody's step stool. You are a human being, and you deserve to be talked to like a human being, not like you're a dog. And that's what it became. I really felt like I was being talked to like I was a dog or a child.
Yeah, one of the big red flags is the lack of empathy. That they want you to feel everything that they want you to feel about them, but when it comes to you, they just can't find it in them to help you in any way feel like it. They invalidate your feelings in every way possible. Oops.
Yeah. I think another, just, you know what another huge thing is? If you're in a relationship where all you do is fight, and I'm not talking about, I get it, couples fight. I fight with John. I don't know. I fought with him a lot, though. I mean, especially in the beginning of our relationship. But, you know, that was because of misunderstandings. It was never us being degrading to each other. I can't recall ever being degrading to him. And if I was, like, I would apologize automatically, like, hey, I didn't mean to call you that name. Like, I said it out of anger, and like, it doesn't make it right, but like, you know, I'm trying to be a better person. I'm trying not to be degrading, but again, I only
because you don't ever want to be what that was to you.
And I think I told that to John too, though. Like, you have to understand where I came out of. I came out of a horrible relationship, and I'm trying to make it better, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to make mistakes, and I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to put things out on you because I'm angry at him. It's not fair to you, but like, I'm trying. I've only known a bad relationship. So we just need to be patient with each other and take it step by step. And tell me when I'm wrong. Tell me, hey, I didn't like the way you talked to me. Hey, I didn't like that you called me a name. You know, it was never that with this other guy. It was always, oh, well, deal with it. Oh, well, I said that. I'm not taking it back. I'm not apologizing. I said what I said, and that's it. You know, but it was always, if I ever said anything bad to him, I always apologized. Hey, I'm sorry that I don't know. I remember I punched him one time. And, yeah, I punched him. And then he tried to accuse me of being an abusive. That I was beating him. And I was like, you're like 2 times my size. Like, I think if you really wanted to, you could have more power over me. Like, my punches don't hurt that hard. And I was angry and I did punch him. And I admitted to being wrong. I should have never hit him. It was never the right thing to do. But I think I was just pushed to a point where I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to hit you.
The beating shall commence.
One thing I do want to say, though, is the beginning of our relationship was never bad. Not even close to that. But it was a very rocky road. I mean, we both had just come out of pretty rough relationships. Yours way worse than mine. And we both only really knew bad, bad relationship stuff. I mean, there was never any really good, solid moments. And we both didn't really know how to talk to each other or communicate how we feel. We still don't, to a degree. We're way better than we were. But, I mean, we broke up, 2 or 3 times in the first 6 months we started hanging out with each other? I mean, started dating each other?
Yeah.
Over just, it was nothing major. It was just, misunderstanding of, I didn't text you. I was home right away. As soon as I got home, I was throwing laundry in or this and that. And it was 30 minutes in, and I was trying to take care of things. And, you feel like, it was just how it was.
Yeah. And like you said, though, I was so used to having to tell this other guy where I was or when I was getting home. And that when it became to John, something I expected. And I had to remind myself that this isn't him. This is John. Like, he's not him. He's not going to go and, go leave you for another girl. And if he does, like, oh, well. I guess I kind of was like, oh, well, because I was like, I don't really know this guy anyways. So, like, if he leaves me for another girl, it's okay. Like, I knew where he worked, okay? I knew where you worked.
Our lockers were not that far apart from each other.
No.
I know where you live.
It's actually how a lot of our conversations, we used to write each other letters and put each other's letters in the lockers. But I was grateful that I moved to Washington because, like, I felt like I had already missed out on part of my family's life. That's time that I'm never going to get that time back. But moving to Washington was so refreshing. I got to live with the most energetic, most delightful 1-year-old. Sharing a bedroom with her was, never a surprise. It was wonderful. Like, that was something I needed. Like, waking up and seeing her innocent face every morning was so, like, it was so
must have been
delightful.
therapeutic.
It really was. It was, I think that's what got me a lot out of my rut was I was with Evelyn and she was so innocent and did nothing but love. No matter what, she did nothing but love. And it was something I needed. Like, even from a 1-year-old, like, it was just something I needed. I just needed love and being so innocent and so little. Like, her love is, like, one of the most amazing things. And I am so grateful because I don't think I would have gotten out of my rut the way I did if I didn't live up there with her. And, having even Jordan, like, having Jordan's kindness and open arms. And, like, me and Jordan obviously have not always had the best relationship. But you know what? Like, even just having Jordan around, like, it was a nice, like, ray of sunshine in my life. And, like, the times that I got to spend with you, like, that was wonderful because it was, like, I felt like I had missed out on so much in life. Like, I was so involved in a relationship that, like, I didn't care about anyone else in my life. And it sucked because, like, I missed out on a whole bunch of things that I can look back on. But it's like, I made up for it. I missed being around you, Zach, like no other. Like, growing up, you were my best friend, and I'll always say that. Like, you were always my best friend. Like, our bond there was nothing. We were inseparable as little kids. And growing up, we grew up. We grew apart. That's something normal. But, like, I knew at the end of the day that if I needed something, you were only always a phone call away. Mm-hmm. And I wish that I would have called you sooner. And I wish that I would have talked to you sooner. But I think I was just so involved in this. And I was so angry that, like, I think a part of me just didn't even want love. Like, I didn't feel like I deserved it. because I was already so pushed into the ground like a bug that I didn't feel like I deserved to have anyone love me. And I just pushed everyone away because I don't even know. Like, I just didn't want to be loved.
Because he made you feel less than... It goes
made me
back to
feel
that. It goes back to
unhuman.
you can't feel like you deserve love when you don't even feel like you're a human.
Well, it's that whole, your whole ideology that you were raised, that you grew up your whole life, is if you love people, they love you back.
Right.
And so that's how you went into that relationship. And the way that it ended up was, I love him and I give him everything, and that's all it is. And he tells me that I'm a piece of crap, basically.
You know, and like the funny thing was, it was always like, money. What do you know, like I said, like, what are you spending your money on? Well, you should be saving it so we can buy a house, so we can support my parents. Why should I support your parents? They're grown adults.
Yeah.
Like,
What the heck?
they can get off their butts. They can work.
Yeah,
I'm not
you
gonna
collect
spend
Social
my
Security
money.
checks, you'll be good.
I'm not going to spend my money on them. Like, what? Save my money so I can buy a house so they can live in it and tell me what to do? No.
Nuh-uh.
No.
I think one of the worst things to me, or not as the worst, but the saddest thing, was excluding all the physical forcing himself upon you and all those mental things. But we were about a year into knowing each other, and when you told me that you had never received like any form of gift, not even a single cheap thing of flowers from him, and that your requirement from me to let me date you was to buy you a thing of flowers because you've never received one. It was just sad to me. Like, it was really sad because, like, how can you not just go to a local grocery store and buy a bundle of flowers for $5? Is it really that difficult? Because he told me that's all you ever asked from him and he never gave it to you.
Yeah. I remember, like, I did nothing but give. I bought him countless things. I bought him shoes. I gave him money when he needed it. I've bought him food. I've given his family money. Like, you know, I would have spent, as bad as it sounds, I would have spent my last dime just to make him happy. You know, because that's honestly just the type of person I am. I rather, like, that's how I show love. I show love by, you know, I'm not very affectionate. I've never been very affectionate. And I think more so because of things that happened between me and him, it's affected a lot of mine and John's thing, because he shows love through affection, you know, holding hands, you know, being close, cuddling. I'm not affectionate. And I think a huge, big part of it is because of everything that's happened to me. I just don't, you know, I have a hard time even just being hugged, as bad as that sounds. I mean, I'm getting better now because, you know, I'm getting used to John's affection and getting used to, like, it's not a bad affection. Like, he's just showing you real affection. It's real love. But, you know, like, there's those different, you know, forms of love. And my thing is gift giving. I'm always constantly giving gifts because that's just how I show love. And, you know, it's not more of like price tag, but it's more of like, hey, like, here's a, you know, a little something. Yeah, like, here, I was thinking, I was in the store and I saw this candy. Like the stupidest things I buy John are like candy bars.
I think my favorite thing I ever get from you, and you still do it every now and then, but when we first met, you always used to write these little letters to me and drop them in my locker at work because we worked at the same place. It was always the most heartwarming thing. And I think that's what really made me fall for you really hard, because you put the time and effort in to just write something. No one does that, really.
Oh, that's another thing I do. I write letters. I'm not very good at verbally expressing myself, so a lot of times if I want to say something, I write it down and I give it to the person because it's just easier for me. Because either I'll lose train of thought or I'll, like, not say what I wanted to say. So I'd rather just write him a letter or write the person a letter and be like, here's a letter. I know my handwriting. I write in cursive, so it's really hard to read. So try to read it, but if you can't read it, let me know. Yeah.
I also think one of the hardest things in the beginning of our relationship was the fact that I almost was annoyed at one point because you always ask, oh, hey, can I dye my hair? Or, hey, can I do this? Hey, can I do this? Like, I don't care as long as you're not cheating on me or doing anything like that. You know, I don't care what you do. You can go get tattoos. You can go dye your hair, or you can shave your eyebrow. You're not hurting yourself. You're not hurting anyone else. You're not doing anything mischievous. Have fun. It's your money. You do what you want. I've never asked you for anything except for helping all our bills.
Right.
I try to be as fair, as open as I can.
That was a hard concept.
Yeah, she still struggles with it to this exact moment right now, by the way.
I'm very indecisive.
Well, I read that people who come from narcissistic abuse, a lot of them tend to just continue down the same path. But there are people that I think it's called overcorrecting, but I don't think what you did is overcorrecting, but what you did was you found somebody who was completely opposite of what you came from, in a good way, you know.
Almost overcaring.
Yeah. So just kind of like, nope, because there are people that are just like, nope, 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 I'm just going to avoid any kind of person.
John's like a teddy bear.
Yeah.
He's a giant.
He's like a metaphorical giant teddy bear who's literally a giant. And John provides something in security. Psychologically.
Yeah.
It's like a breath of fresh air. And I think that's what is the hope that you have at the end of the tunnel.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, that's the thing, is that there's always hope. There's always hope. Don't give up hope. And that is the most important thing. Especially now.
I want to say, I think one of the hardest, one of the things that I never realized was, I was in a dark tunnel, like you said. But, it was never like nobody's hand was there. I just didn't reach out to anyone's hand until I was ready. And I think that's the hard thing. You have to be ready to leave that type of relationship, because you have to be strong. And if you can't be strong, you have to know who your strong people are in your life, who can take on that fight for you, I guess, in a way. Because when you're obviously at your lowest of lows, you may not be able to have that strength to fight, but there's people at that end of that tunnel who have their arms out, who are willing to pick you up, put you on their backs, and push through that fight for you, because they love you that much, that they want you out of it so badly that they're willing to fight for you. And, that's one thing. My family never stopped fighting for me. My family always fought for me. Even as horrible as I was, my mom never stopped fighting for me. My mom always had an open ear and an open arms for me to run into and just put my burdens down and talk to her about what was going on. And, I may have not always verbalized, hey, exactly what was happening, but I don't think she denied. I know she knew things were happening. I just think she needed me to be ready to tell her.
She's not going to press on you.
Yeah. It was more of like, I'm here when you want to tell me. Like, I know it happened, but I'm here when you want to tell me. I'm here with open ears, and you can cry when you need to cry, and you can tell me when you need to tell me. But you have to let a person do it in their own timing. As much as you want to force them out of a relationship like that, you can't. There is no pulling someone out of it. You can try and try and try, but until they are physically ready for it, there's no escape for it. And I think that's what I want to say to people who try to help people with this. Like, you're going to keep trying, but you can't do anything until they are like, I need your help. I need you to pull me out of this dark pit. I can't do it anymore. Because I was like that. I couldn't be pulled out of that dark pit until I was ready. And like I said, my final straw was, how far is this going to go? I've been in 5 years of verbal, And he finally put his hand on me, and I was like, I'm not letting this turn into physical.
Yeah, you had your.
I had a breaking point.
Finally had a boundary.
You may have been really low, but you still had a line in the sand at least, and that's really important. And you didn't let it get crossed. Man, he didn't. That just goes to show you didn't break everything.
No.
I think
I may have been a shattered piece of glass, but there was still a huge, big piece of me that was still there. It was just kind of more in, like, the deep, dark down part of my life. Like, in the deep, dark part where you couldn't see. Because I was obviously shattered, but, like, I never let him fully break me. And I will never let him fully break me. Because I'm better than that, and I'm stronger than that, and I will be who I am.
now there's one other thing I want to say. I might be a little late to the party on this thought, but looking back at the beginning of a relationship and not realizing all these things and not realizing what because not only did this relationship affect you, but affected your whole family. And looking back on it, your family, after you moved to Washington, wanted to protect you. And I entered into, the situation not knowing the full story and not knowing how it affected everyone. And, putting myself in a position where your family wanted to be protecting and also me being confused as I didn't understand the whole thing. And it was very hard for, pretty sure all of us.
Yeah. It was really...
Because I didn't...
We were all dealing with it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, especially because, I didn't know how fresh it was. I didn't understand any of that. And, I felt confused the whole time, for the longest time. And especially until I moved here. Now I kind of feel like I'm finally getting the full story, of all sides. That it wasn't necessarily I did anything wrong. I just had no idea what was going on. And I came into a very, very not overprotecting, but a family that didn't feel like they had the chance to protect you when they needed to. And when you needed it the most. And they were damned to not let it happen again.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I'm grateful.
And I've never had any bad feelings or anything for any of the things that ever happened, which I feel like is very different than how he took any situation your family said at one time. I've always felt that that's how they feel. They just want to be protecting. Okay, I'm not gonna be bothered by it. It's not their fault.
Right.
It's gonna make. Might as well be throwing a fit and throwing a temper tantrum on the floor like a 5-year-old. I'm gonna complain about your family wanting to protect you.
And kudos to you for sticking that out, I would say now, because at this point it's like, well, now you know everything, so you're still around. You're the sucker, so I think that's
with the situation that happened, if Kim didn't matter to me, I doubt, for anyone that was with her at that time period. Not saying the situation that any of us caused was bad. It just no one necessarily had to deal with the drama that had occurred if they didn't care for her. I put up with it and I dealt with it, and I just I always had this underlying feeling, is if it's meant to be, something good will come out of it. And at the end, we're all sitting here having a nice drink and talking.
Look who's having a podcast around a table.
Right.
All together at 1 a.m. I think it's a good place to stop. I think I'm really happy that we got to talk about this. You've really come really far, Kim.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on and feeling like you were comfortable enough to come in and share what you did, because that was not only brave and stunning, but it really is inspirational.
Like I said, I think the biggest part was just the fact of I want to be able to be there for anyone who might need help. I might not know these people, but I just want to give people hope. You don't really ever hear the hope side of this story, and I just want to give people hope. You may be in a dark tunnel now, but like I said, you just have to be ready, and when you're ready, there's people there who are going to help you out of that dark tunnel, and there's people who love you. No matter what this other person's telling you, you are loved, and you are greatly loved by people. You just don't see it right now because you're just stuck in your own little pit.
But there's light.
I'm pretty proud of you, to be honest. There was, ever since we talked about sitting down and doing a podcast about your situation, your personal horror story. You've tried to back out, at least said you wanted to back out almost at least once a day at this point. And it's been almost 2 months since we've, first talked about doing this. And it's been a daily thing we've talked about. And I know it's bothered you, but I've always just kept saying, just do it because maybe it'll give you some sort of, freedom. Freedom. Like you're getting it off your chest. You finally have talked it all out, especially with the people that, needed to hear the most.
Yeah. Now everybody's... Not only is everybody on the same page, you've brought it to a point where you're not even ashamed of it. And there is no power over this anymore.
And
it's
I think
nothing.
That's a big part. Like, I want him to know that he has no power over me.
Yeah, you're nothing. You're nothing. You're nada.
You were just a past. You're a part of my life that happened, and it's like it just made me a better person. Like, I'm a better, stronger person because of this. You just proved to me and let me know that no matter what, I still have family that loves me, no matter how badly I treat them. And I'm a lot stronger than you tried to make me seem.
You got a 6'1" teddy bear to go through next time.
Yeah. If you guys like what you heard, please like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. If you guys have anything that you're going through yourselves, or if there's anything that you need any advice on, and I'm not a trained professional, so don't think I'm going to be giving some psychological expertise of advice. But we do have Kim here, who really does understand what it was like to be in that situation. And if you guys are going through anything, we'll definitely take a look through the comments. And I hope that this has been some type of inspiration to somebody out there, because we want you all to know that there's people out there that have gone through similar hurt and pains. And maybe not all of us have gone through the same kind of pains, but we understand what it's like to be in the dark. And all you gotta do is look for the light somewhere, and you'll find it. Anyways, that's about wrap it up for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episodes. Again, if you liked what you heard, please like and subscribe to the channel and share this around with your friends. Even if you know anybody who's going through something. And we were talking about not shaking at people trying to get their attention, but maybe they're really close, or maybe somebody recently reached out to you saying they need some help, and maybe this is something you want to share with them, and you feel that they're open to hearing some information. And like I said, we're not professionals here. We're just people who are also hurt, and we're just coming together to talk about our ideas. So we love you guys. We'll talk to you later. Peace out. Keep up. Be safe out there. It's kind of crazy, especially what's coming up around the corner in November. Everybody have a blessed night. Good night. Peace.